You're getting to the age now where
Mm.
you are going to be starting to ask yourself questions which go beyond just the material or the, general, how can I have fun, or what am I doing today? What am I going to eat today? The basic, what you could call material questions, or questions about, exciting things, playing games, these kind of things. You're getting to the age where you're going to be starting to ask yourself more existential questions. That's what the word is, existential. Why am I here? What are we here for? Do I have a purpose in life? What's the point of everything? You're going to be basically asking yourself more along the lines of existential questions and less along the lines of what you call hedonic questions or basic material questions. And you're going to get to the point where you're going to have some kind of existential crisis because you're not going to really have the answers to these questions since you've never asked them before. It could be very well also that these questions will be brought to you based on not your choosing, but something happening to you, like something traumatic. For example, someone betrays you in some way, you have a breakup with your person that you thought you were in love with, that you thought loved you, maybe they cheat on you. You fail your tests in such a way that you think the future is over, and so you get kicked into the underworld, metaphorically speaking. You get kicked into the like dark shadow place, into depression, basically, or hyper anxiety and so on. And all these questions basically pop up, and now you're not really going to have a good sort of set of answers for them because you never asked them before. Like you're, what, 16, 17, 18, 19, maybe 20. What do you know about life? So, what I'd like to do for you here is hopefully try to give you some guidance in relation to these questions, and that way maybe shorten the period that you're in the underworld for. Shorten the period that you're suffering for, and hopefully provide you with some guidance that maybe even if you're not depressed or you're not suffering, etc., you're not really stressed out in that way, but hopefully I can give you some preparation, some advice that can help you so that once you get to the age when these questions will start to be on your mind and you have this inner feeling that I need to be living for more than just, playing games and having fun, etc., that you feel some emptiness or you feel some kind of lack of purpose or lack of fulfillment, something inside you that thinks, well, something isn't right and I can't drink my way out of it. I can't play games out of it. Something isn't right. I don't feel like complete inside. Something's missing. I want to give you some advice in terms of this. Okay. Now, fundamentally speaking, you can think of yourself as a composite, as a collection of different layers or different building blocks. Okay. The layer that you're most familiar with up to this point has been the outer layer. Okay. And to some extent, the emotional layer. So the outer layer is just basically simple things like eating food or looking at someone and thinking that they're attractive or wanting to play games or have fun, studying for school stuff, looking at the idea of how can you make money, material, basic. You can think about this like the body or something like that. And then you're also familiar to some extent with the emotional layer. Okay, because as you're young, you're going to be flooded with emotions at different times. Sometimes you can't control them. Often you can't control them. And emotions actually by nature, by default, cannot be controlled. You can only influence your emotions, you can't control them. Okay, they don't work like an on-off switch. They work more like they don't work like a switch at all. Your emotions work more like I don't know, like a seesaw or something. You have to add weight to certain one side of the seesaw and it will lean towards that side. Okay. They don't work like an on-off switch. Like your emotions are the same as your like hair or your skin or something like that, which you can only influence, but you can't make your hair stop growing by thinking about it. That makes sense. Anyway, so you've been used to, and to some extent you will have practiced with understanding and knowing what to do with these two layers, and also to some extent the cognitive layer, or the brain, the mind kind of layer, which is thinking about things, studying, gaining new knowledge, and so on. But the one that you won't have too much experience in dealing with, okay, unless you've had a very traumatic life, then maybe. But generally speaking, you won't have too much experience in dealing with what you call the spiritual or the existential layer, which is the deepest layer inside you, what people used to refer to as the soul. Okay, you can still call it the soul today, that's fine. The existential layer is the layer that is inside you, okay, the deepest part of you. Beyond the body, beyond the mind, it's the spiritual thing, the thing inside you which demands meaning, it demands universal answers. Okay, you can think about it like the infinite part of you. So this is the part of you which, when you go through serious situations, or when you reach a certain age where the other parts don't seem as powerful in taking up your time and focus, this is the part that starts to ache. Okay, the existential layer. Now, basically speaking, to solve this problem, okay, or to start to solve it, to go into the road of solving it, what you need, okay, is not money, okay, not material stuff. What you need, okay, is you need a direction in life. You need a direction. This is the first thing. The existential layer, or your soul, your spirit, needs meaning. It needs meaning. Okay, it's not fulfilled by external stuff. Okay, because it doesn't understand external stuff. It needs meaning. Okay, it's not physical, it's metaphysical. It needs meaning. So you can construct this meaning for yourself, or another way might be better put, you can discover this meaning for yourself. You need to discover this meaning for yourself. And the way you discover this meaning fundamentally is you just need to look at the triangulation point, the center point of your talents or your skills, your interests. In other words, what are you good at naturally? What are you interested in naturally? Excuse me. And combine that with, what does the world need? How can you help the world in some kind of way, or the people around you in some kind of way? How can you be of use to society, to the world? How can you make the world tilt towards a more positive direction, a good, better direction? How can you serve the world? How can you add to the goodness in the world, not the badness in it? How can you play a role in helping humanity to push towards a positive direction and not the opposite way? And I mention the other side of it, the opposite way, because when people lose their sense of meaning and they become what you call nihilist, they become hopeless, they think that the idea that life and everything else is meaningless, and they actually believe it, their meaning becomes doing as much evil as possible. Okay, they don't actually become meaningless, but they adopt the meaning of becoming as evil as possible, doing as much bad as possible, hurting as many people as possible. The more nihilistic they are, meaning the more they believe this kind of stupidity, the more evil they become and the worse things that they do. Okay, they think my mission is to destroy everything, basically. So, in order for that not to happen, and moreover, in order to just have a basic, feeling, a basic meaning in your life, you want to be active about this, okay, and you want to find your own meaning and find your path by triangulating, like I said, what are you naturally good at, what are you naturally interested in, what are you drawn to, and how can you use these things to help people? How can you help the world in some way? How can you serve the world in some way? Okay, and if you think about this, it doesn't even take long. Okay, you'll be able to find out in In less than an hour, you'll be able to figure this out if you really think about it. You write it down or whatever. Then you'll have a direction that you can start to push in. And this direction is what will fulfill you beyond, that will fulfill you on a spiritual level, on a deep, intrinsic level. Okay. When you ask yourself the question, why am I here? This will be the answer to that question. Okay. I am here to do this. I am here because the universe has spawned me in, has manifested me to fulfill this role. I am here to do this mission. I am here to, like that. Now, it's extremely important, okay, that you have an answer to this question because when tragedy hits, and it always hits at some point in life, if you don't have an answer to this question, it's going to be extremely difficult to remain stable and to not self-destruct or like, outward, to become destructive outward. So you need an answer to this question. Also, having an answer to this question will make you happier in general. It will help you to sustain, and especially if you do it at a young age, it will make you feel like you're pushing towards something. It will give you a good motivation um, that will fuel you, help you to push forward in life in general. You won't feel aimless, like my life's meaningless. I'm not doing anything in my life. You'll feel good, and this has its own benefits. Okay, like for example, pushing in this mission will make other people be drawn to you, and they'll want to get involved, and you'll meet friends, and etc. etc. And the younger you can do this, the better. Okay. Because if you do it when you're older, it's still good. It will help you to maintain and deal with suffering and things. But the younger you can do this, the more it can shape your direction in life, and the more it can amplify the good that's going to happen to you in your life. Okay. It will also help you to find what work you should do and etc. It will help you be like a compass for you, so you don't feel like you're just aimless. Okay. That's as important, which is really important. If you're aimless, you get addicted to drugs, alcohol, making bad decisions about who you're intimate with, and all that kind of stuff. Gambling and all that. Okay, so there's one. Okay, so the first thing existentially, or to deal with these life questions, the serious big life questions. One thing is discover your meaning by triangulating what are you naturally good at, what are you naturally interested in, what good can you do for the world based on these things? How can you serve other people, serve the planet, serve your family, or what can you do? How can you help? And importantly, before I move on to the next thing, it doesn't need to be something that people would consider as big. Okay. Any action of good is universally big. Even just being kind to people is universally big. It just has to be personal enough to you to where you feel like it's something you can dedicate your life to, or at least you can start moving towards. Okay, something that you can do with your time. That's what it needs to be. Okay, something you can do with your time. Because if you're aimless or you're just chasing money, you're just chasing material, you're not going to be fulfilled. Okay, you're going to be rich but empty, which is how people start drinking and then they hurt themselves in different ways. Okay, so there's the first thing. Okay, the next thing is going to be the next thing that your soul or your core, your spirit, your existential center demands. Okay, is ethical behavior. Okay, how do you behave in life? So when you get to the point of asking these questions, what am I here for? Why am I here? Why do we exist? Is there a God? Etc. etc. One of the things that can happen in this, or that does happen in this questioning period when you're unsure about the answers, etc., is that you can start to basically degenerate in terms of how you act and how you behave. Okay. You can basically start to, because of the pain you feel or because you just think that there is no answer or whatever, you can just take the approach that, okay, I'm just going to do whatever I want, no matter who it hurts, etc. You can take the evil path, basically. Now, what you want to do, okay, is you don't want to take that path because beyond just being the wrong thing to do, the path is ultimately weak and I've talked about this in other videos, but the path is ultimately weak. Okay, it's not long lasting. It's selfish, and not only that, but it's like pathetic. It's pathetic. Okay, so at most, taking this path, you'll be like a worm or something. You'll be like a worm, a selfish worm. That's what an evil person is, basically, or parasite. Hmm? So there's no pride in it. There's nothing gained by doing it. There's no glory in it. It's just weak. And also, the other reason you don't want to do this, tying into what we're talking about, okay, is that when you take this evil path, you don't only just not fill up the hole inside you, the existential hole, which is the reason that you're feeling the pain or whatever. Not only do you not fill it up, but you actually make it bigger. Okay? The first victim and the eternal victim of every evil person is the person themselves. This is why when people take the evil path, the unethical path, the bad path, this is why they multiply in the evil that they do, the more they take it. Because the hole inside them gets bigger. The pain they feel increases, it doesn't decrease. It's like they stab themselves, then they go stab someone else, and the knife is still stuck inside them. And so now they feel more pain, okay? And now they feel like they want to hurt people more, and this continues and continues. This is why we have to put these people in jail, or we have to separate them. We have to restrain them, etc. We can't just let them figure it out, okay? Because it just gets worse. That makes sense. So what you want to do, okay, instead, in other words, you never fill up the space inside, uh, the abyss inside with that way. What you want to do instead, okay, and your life just becomes even worse and worse. Okay, you can't win being evil, basically. What you want to do instead, okay, is you want to dedicate yourself instead to taking the good path, the ethical path, the moral path. And what this means fundamentally is you're going to decide to be good, to do the right thing, to be ethical, to treat people well, regardless of how you're feeling, regardless of your situation, regardless of the unfairness in your mind of your life, and so on. You're going to take the ethical path anyway, and this is what will fulfill you on a spiritual level in the way that religious people or religious texts in the past for thousands of years and our ancestors before these religious texts, our um, our ancient ancestors, what they told stories about. It's what they were talking about when they talked about people that were heroes. Okay, this is what they meant by being heroic. It means your life, physically or materially, is seems bad to you, seems really bad to you, but still you don't allow that badness to turn you bad. And you stay good, you stay positive, you stay ethical. And this makes you feel strong in a way which is it's hard to describe. Okay, it's like being blessed by God or something like that. Okay, you get like divine light inside you, something like that. Which means that you can face the worst kind of situation and you can manage it. You won't be broken by it. And not only that, but you will be able to gain wisdom from it. You'll be able to navigate it. Okay, you'll be able to become a leader out of it. You can fight the dragon and take the gold afterwards. And you will feel okay, it doesn't even need to go to that extreme. And this is another reason why I'm making this for you guys, because you're young. If you can implement this way of behaving and living while you're young, then it doesn't even need to go to this extreme. You can just be someone that has a good life and is a good person and has a good path that they're on, a purposeful path. You can have a great life. You don't need to go and suffer and face all this tragedy and things like this. You can have it all basically, okay? Which is what I hope for you guys, pretty much. But the thing is, if you do get older, or when you do get older, and tragedy does come, then these ideas are what will help you to stay alive and will help you to keep going, basically, and help you to not become evil and help you to not become a little, become like a little devil. And instead, you can stay positive and stay on the good path, basically. And when you stay on the good path, what happens is things always work themselves out eventually. Okay. Um, so dedicate yourself to goodness. Okay. And goodness fundamentally just means acting in a way which is acting how you should act. Excuse me, acting how you should act. And there are, there's uh, some different guidelines that you can follow. Like there is the virtues that the Greeks talked about and others have talked about. I can give you a few of them. For example, stick to truth, and don't lie. Practice courage. Be brave, do the right thing even if you're scared. Practice love. That'd be another big virtue, which is you can break down into kindness or compassion. Treat people nicely. Be loving to other people. Don't be mean. Um, you could practice justice. Means don't cheat people. Give people what they're due. Do, go out of your way to make sure that if you have a debt or you have a promise that you've made to someone, you fulfill it. Um, you can practice what they call temperance. In other words, don't go overboard with what you do. Have some self-control. Don't go to extremes. There's many things like that. Yeah. But anyway, the point is, if you aim at it, you can learn them. And what I've seen and what I've noticed, and this is definitely true, is that if you can be a good person and you can be a person that has a purpose, you will fundamentally be successful even if you don't make a lot of money or material success. You will fundamentally be successful. What that means is when you reach old age, okay, and your end is on the way, or even after you pass to the next stage in life, people will remember you fondly and they will talk about you in a good way. Mm? And the things that you've done will be remembered fondly, and people, even before you pass away, people will love you and they will be happy to see you. When they see you, you'll have a good effect. Okay. And you'll be able to feel good about yourself because you would have tilted the world to a positive direction. Okay. And we don't know how far that goes. All right. It could be very well the case that the universe is so interconnected that the things that we do tilt the universe itself in a good direction or not a good direction. Okay, because if you think about good and evil fundamentally, they're not individual concepts in terms of like, I don't know, a glass of water is just a glass of water. That good fundamentally refers to a universal idea, a pattern of the universe, which is like infinite. It's too big for me to describe. Okay. And evil is sort of the opposite of that. All right. So, which is why our ancestors, which is why our ancestors would describe these things in terms of like stories about gods and things like that. Okay, they're not stupid, but they're talking about forces which are so big that it's like you're aligning yourself with an evil god or a good god, etc. All right. So there's two out of three. Okay. So one is purpose, two is ethics. Now my final one, picking up on this idea of God, is spirituality. This is my last one for you. Okay. This is the last kind of answer to the questions that you'll have. Spirituality. Fundamentally, people ask, is there a God? People ask this question. Is there a God? Is God real? The answer to this question, okay, is yes. That's the answer to this question. Yes. And what you need to understand, okay, is the answer is yes, but it's not yes in the way that you think yes. The answer, okay, is yes, but God is not a man in the sky, right? The word God has become very hijacked in a way, or colored in a way that when you say God, people think about a man, a human being who has anger, who has hatred for certain people, and gets angry if you do certain things, like a human being. And one of the great philosophers of time, Xenophon, he said, he said, human beings make God in their image. He said, in Africa, God is black. In Europe, God is white and has orange hair. What he basically means is he's talking about this idea, okay, about God being like a man in the sky who gets angry. And oftentimes, the things that God gets angry about, according to people who talk about God, is the things that they get angry about themselves, like a certain race of people or a certain external tribe or certain doing certain things, wearing certain type of clothes or so this is not the God that I'm talking about. Okay? God fundamentally, another word which is better than God, I believe, to describe this, what I'm talking about, is infinity. Infinity. That's a better word, okay, than God, I believe, in terms of this concept of what I'm talking about. Infinity. So, or divinity, that may be a better word too. Infinity, okay, is real. When you say God is the infinite, it's infinite, infinity. That's what you're talking about when you're talking about God. Something beyond understanding, okay? Because we human beings are not infinite in terms of our brains and stuff. We are finite in terms of our brains, our bodies. There might be some part of infinity inside of us, okay? But in general, in terms of how we can think, we can only think about so many things at once. We can only imagine so much at once. We can only experience so much. We have what you call subjective limitations, okay? But God is a word that describes the infinity that the universe is born from, something like that, okay? And then we ourselves would be products of that same infinity. Now, we know that this infinity is real, okay, by definition, because if the universe had a start point, which scientists and everything say it did, then obviously it means the universe is finite, which means that it requires an infinite source, beginning point. This is what the ancient Chinese philosophers would call the Tao, the infinite source of everything. Yes. So, and if the universe, okay, if you take the opposite view, if the universe is not finite but is infinite in itself, then this is just another roundabout way of describing God. You're just calling it the universe. It's the same thing. And then therefore, again, we would still be products of this infinity. So in either case, you need infinity, either way. Okay, so either you're calling the universe God, or you're calling what uh, you're saying the universe isn't God, and that there is another infinity, which is God itself. But in any case, okay, the point is okay that God is real. That's the point. That's the point. Okay, and which is good to know. Which is good to know. So the practical application of this for you, for us, is to build some kind of spiritual habit or habits, some kind of spiritual practice that you engage in to interact with this infinity. Okay. And again, remember, I'm not saying God's like a man in the sky kind of thing, eh? Think about more like an infinite, I don't know, something infinite. You can't understand it or touch it or describe it, etc. So, that we all come from. Okay, that's the idea. We're connected to in a fundamental way. So you want to build some kind of spiritual practice that you engage in that helps you connect to this infinity. This is the other requirement, okay, of your existential center, your soul, your spirit, the thing inside you deeper than your body and mind and emotions and so on. And building this spiritual practice is what will help you be fulfilled. It will help you feel good. It will help you in the moments where you're lowest and also feel grateful in the moments that you're highest. It will also help you to properly situate yourself in terms of how you see yourself in the universe and in the world. It will help you to not become arrogant and develop a superiority complex. And at the same time, it will help you to not become um, weak, pathetic, and develop an inferiority complex. Okay, because you will see yourself as a product of infinity, same as everyone else. So you also have a sense of equality, and so on. So, yes, so the point is you need some kind of spiritual practice. Okay. Now, for many people, they find this through religion, uh, one kind or another, which is fine. Other people, they just find it through things like meditation. They find it through things like prayer. Okay, you can pray even if you don't have a religion, you can still pray. Prayer is just saying thank you. Prayer is just asking for guidance, etc. Okay. Um, so you can pray, you can meditate, you can practice being grateful, you can just reflect. But it's important, okay, that you develop some kind of spiritual practice, something. Because if you don't have some kind of spiritual practice, then you're operating just in the material world, which is not enough because we're not machines. Okay, and people who say this, they're like, I don't want to say they're lying to themselves, but they're like trying to delude themselves or trying to lie to themselves because of whatever reason, some other reason. But we're not machines. Okay, this is why when you listen to, great music, you cry, or when you have a heartwarming moment with someone you care about, you feel something deep beyond just chemicals. Mm. We're not machines. This is why you have value in the first place, why you see people as valuable and so on. Because there's something deep inside of us which is goes beyond just material. So develop some kind of practice, spiritual practice, okay, and this will help you to be fulfilled, and it will help you to navigate life in a better way. Okay, so purpose, that's number one. So what do you do? How do you answer these questions? One is purpose, okay, which is again find your talent or skills, find the things you're interested in naturally that you're drawn to. Figure out how you can use these to help other people, to serve the world, to make things better for people, to make life better for others. Okay, and then engage in that. That's one. Two is ethics. Dedicate yourself to ethical behavior, to being a good person, to practicing good behavior, virtue, not the evil path, no matter how you're suffering or no matter how much pain you're in. Ethics. Okay, and then three is spirituality. Okay, recognize and acknowledge that infinity exists, what we call God. Infinity exists, or the divine exists. We have a spiritual element to us. Start to build some kind of spiritual habits. Okay, if you want to pray or meditate or whatever. Okay, do these things. Do these things, and they will help you. They will help you a lot. Okay. If you do these things, they will save you from. They will save you from ever becoming too self-destructive. You might go off the path a little bit, but you'll never become like a full-blown drug addict or alcoholic or gambling addict, or you'll have something to center you. When people say, "This is my center," I have a center. This is what it means, okay? You'll have something to center you, to hold on to. And also, what I just told you, these are the things, okay, that will never leave you. These are what you could consider the infinite, what I just laid out for you. Okay, your money will come and go, your materials will come and go, your body, your health will come and go, people you love will come and go, friendships will come and go, relationships come and go. But these things will never leave you, okay? The products you produce in terms of the work you do, based on your purpose and stuff, the people you help, the good that you do, the good that you're dedicated to, your character, your spirituality, these things can never be taken from you, okay? Because they're in your soul, they're deep, they're infinite, they can never be taken from you, okay? So even after you're gone, they'll still belong to you. Your money will be someone else's. Your relationships, they might move on, okay? You'll lose touch with them. Your your health obviously will be gone after you're gone. But these things will always be yours. They will always belong to you, okay? So it's important that you work on them, you build them. Okay. Anyway, anyway, that's enough. So hope you all been good and okay.